Hi there. This is Michael Reese with Outcast Consulting. Thanks for joining us. We are continuing our series to talk about common pitfalls that can come to new leaders. And quite frankly, these are pitfalls that happen to experienced and seasoned leaders as well, but gearing this conversation today to new leaders. And up to this point, we've talked about some of the common pitfalls that are more related to leadership, kind of high level decisions that you may make as a new leader, and then management, more of the tactical meetings that you have between your team members and some of those management mistakes that you could potentially fall into. In this last video, I'm going to cover the last two sections, which are common pitfalls that you might experience in your boss relationships and common pitfalls that you might find in development or lack of development personally. So let's go ahead and jump into this again. And so I'm talking now about common pitfalls in your boss relationships. And this one is not really super complicated, but there are two things that I want you to watch out for as a new leader. And the first one is not keeping your boss informed. So again, this can be actually easier to fall into this pitfall than you might expect. Keeping your boss informed, it seems like very basic 101 kind of stuff. However, what happens, you get into a new role and you're working fast and you're working hard and you're getting a lot of stuff done, but you're not having regular one-on-ones with your boss, and so your boss doesn't know. And it's also possible, because you're not meeting on a regular basis with your boss, it's possible that you're working on things that aren't critical or really important to your boss, but you've decided, based on your new role and meeting with your team members, you've decided some goals and things like that. So you're working really hard and fast, but you're working on the wrong things. And your boss doesn't know and hasn't been able to inform you about what you should be doing, because perhaps you're not having one-on-ones. Now, a lot of this, actually accountability for this, is equally split between you and your boss. If your boss isn't being informed, I mean, they do actually have some accountability here. They should be having regular one-on-ones with you and asking specific questions about what you're working on and making sure that you're aligned. They should be doing that. But this isn't about what they can be doing. It's about what you can be doing as a leader to be successful. So let's talk about what your role is in this. So my recommendation is that at a minimum, you should be scheduling one-on-ones with your boss, especially when you're new, probably on a weekly basis. Now, you're probably going to get a lot of pushback from your boss right away. If you're at a manager or director level, trying to meet with a VP or a senior VP on a regular basis is going to be really hard. Their schedules are packed. And so maybe you figure out a different way to keep them informed. So maybe you're meeting with them on a monthly basis, but you're providing them some ongoing reports on a weekly basis to let them know kind of the major things that are going on. Now, what you want to inform them about, you want to inform them of like successes that you're having and things that you're doing. You also want to talk to them about what your main focus is. Like, what are you driving towards? What are the goals that you have? So you want to give them enough information so that if you're going down the wrong path, they have an opportunity to let you know. So the best way, in my opinion, again, to do that is that you have one-on-ones. You sit down on a regular basis and you have a structured meeting that you talk about, hey, here are the main things that are going on. These are the successes I'm having. These are the goals that we've set, and this is the direction we're headed. The other thing that you want to make sure that your boss knows about, and this is probably really most important, is if you anticipate any roadblocks or challenges to meeting a deliverable, your boss wants to know about that well ahead of the day that the roadblock hits. They want to be able to remove barriers for you, but also prepare maybe senior leaders above them about issues that are going on so that they are not caught off guard deer in the headlights. So again, very big concern as a new leader. You want to make sure that your boss is informed with all the successes, but also with any potential roadblocks. Want to make sure that you start setting up your one-on-ones as quickly as possible. And if you can't have regular one-on-ones, make sure that you're updating them on a regular basis via email or some other way with standardized reporting, so that they're always feeling like they're in the loop and they never feel like there's something major that came up, a major hiccup or challenge that they were not aware of when they were asked about it by their boss. So that's the first thing. The second boss relationship challenge that you may experience is that you want to do it all by yourself. There's this, I guess, perception as a new leader that asking for help is seen as a weakness. And so you will do everything you can in your power that you don't have to ask your boss for help. But that can be a huge mistake because it's possible that there are resources that are available that you don't know about. And so here, maybe you're going about trying to get something done on your own. Maybe you're using software that is outdated or not the best for the challenge that you're trying to fix. And your boss could possibly get you access to better software that would make the job much easier. So you want to make sure that your boss is aware, like we talked about before, of any challenges you're facing, but be prepared to ask for help. And the way to do that is not to go to your boss and say, you know what? I've got this problem. Can you fix it for me? What ideas do you have? Like you don't want to throw it on them. I've heard that described as putting a monkey on your boss's back. And all of a sudden at the end of the day, the boss has all these monkeys on their back. And so you don't want to put a monkey on your boss's back. You want to go to them and say, hey, here's a challenge that I'm having, and here are the potential solutions that I was thinking of. I know that there's this other software that's maybe more effective, but there's a cost to it. Do you think that's possible? Could we invest in that software to help me solve this problem? Is the company willing to put that money or finance forward so that I can fix this problem? And then let your boss fix the problem from there, right? So then they have to go and they have to source the software, or they have to get the funds see if the funds are available to get that software. But you're going to your boss you're explaining what the challenge is, and you're coming up with solutions so that it's not automatically throwing the problem on their plate. And sometimes your boss may say, hey, that's a great idea, let's do it. Or they may say, you know what, this has come up before, I know what the solution is, or how about this as a solution? And so you have that really good conversation. But the idea is you have to think from the start that there are going to be things that you are going to need help with. You can't do this on your own. And so in one of the previous videos, we talked about the need to connect with other leaders throughout the organization. That's one way that you can help yourself. But the other way is make sure that use your boss for what they're supposed to be there for. Let them coach you. Let them take away barriers. Let them help you solution ideas. Don't go to them with just problems that you have. Like, go to them with solutions, but be willing to accept help and assistance from them and feedback and coaching. So those are kind of the two major pitfalls to avoid with boss relationships. And let's go ahead and jump into, So let's stop for a moment and just reflect on those two areas. When you think about your personality and you think about those two categories, keeping your boss informed or trying to do everything on your own, do one of those challenges resonate with you? Meaning, do you think that one of those challenges are going to be a bigger issue for you than the other one? Or do you see these as maybe a non-issue? Hey, I'm already meeting with my boss on a regular basis. We have a really good relationship. We do a lot of solutioning together. I don't think any of these are going to be an issue for me. Maybe that's the case. But if one of those sticks out to you as saying, yeah, you know what? I get really busy and I haven't met with my boss for the last 2 weeks. I mean, I think they know what I'm doing because I'm so busy. They should know what I'm doing. If you're in that case, you need to keep your boss informed. So think about that for a second. Is there one of these that you need to work on? If you need to work on one of those, which one is it? And what are you going to do to make sure that it doesn't become a pitfall for you? How are you going to keep your boss better informed? Or how are you going to ask for help for a project that you've got coming up? Or if you've already sensed you've got a challenge, maybe you've got a challenge with your team. Like you don't know necessarily how to work with certain personalities, and perhaps your boss has worked with those personalities before. Could they offer you some assistance that way? So it can be more than just acquiring resources. It's tapping into your boss for their experience, their knowledge, their expertise. So anyway, what are you going to do to make sure that you don't fall into one of these pitfalls? So ask yourself that question and pause the video if you need to. Write down some goals at this point, and then we will jump into the very last section.